The first light of dawn stretched over Ouagadougou, painting the city in soft gold. President Ibrahim Traoré, breaking from his usual schedule of meetings, made an unusual decision. Today, he would step out into the streets and see his people, not from behind a desk, not through reports, but with his own eyes. "I want to visit Yelgado Ouedraogo National Hospital," he told his chief of staff firmly. "Sir, we have appointments, official meetings. How can I make the right decisions from behind a desk if I don't know how people live?" Ibrahim interrupted gently but firmly. "No preparation, no notice. I want to see the hospital as it truly is." Without sirens or ceremony, Ibrahim arrived at the hospital in a simple car, flanked by only 2 quiet bodyguards. He wore a traditional Burkinabe shirt, blending with the early morning crowd. The hospital director hurried forward, startled. "Mr. President, we weren't expecting you," he stammered. "That's exactly why I came," Ibrahim said softly, a calm smile on his face. "Show me everything. I want to see it as it really is." The hallways were crowded. Patients waited on benches or sat on the floor, their faces lined with worry. Some recognized him and gave shy smiles. Others were too sick or preoccupied to notice. Ibrahim stopped repeatedly, kneeling to speak with a mother cradling her sick child. "We are with you," he said, squeezing her hand. "We are working to make things better." He shook hands with an elderly man, whose eyes glistened with tears at the unexpected kindness. Yet the reality of the hospital was hard to ignore. Equipment was old, medicine scarce, and workers exhausted. Paint peeled from the walls, and water dripped from the ceiling, forming tiny puddles on the tiles. Dr. Ouattara, the head of pediatrics, a man around 50 with weary but determined eyes, approached. "Mr. President, would you visit our intensive care unit? That's where the most serious cases are, and where we need help the most." Ibrahim nodded and followed him through narrow hallways. Turning a corner, he slipped on a wet patch of floor, but regained his balance just in time. "Be careful, the floor was just cleaned," came a soft voice. Ibrahim turned to see an older woman in a faded blue uniform holding a bucket and mop. She kept her head down, embarrassed. "I'm sorry, sir," she whispered. "It's nothing, madam. I wasn't paying attention," he replied kindly. He was about to move on when something about her, her voice, the way she stood, sent a shiver down his spine. He stopped, studying her face. Dr. Ouattara nudged him. "Shall we continue, Mr. President?" Ibrahim remained frozen, heart quickening. The woman's hands were tired from years of labor, her posture quiet yet dignified. Her face seemed familiar. "What is your name?" he asked, his voice calm but urgent. The woman blinked in surprise. Slowly, she lifted her head, revealing a face marked by age but still gentle. "My name is Aminata," she said softly. The name echoed in Ibrahim's mind like a distant memory. Familiar, yet heavy with meaning. Aminata. Common, yet somehow special. "Thank you, Aminata," he whispered, unable to explain the sudden rush of recognition. Something deep in his past stirred, a memory half forgotten, but unmistakably real. Time seemed to pause. In the crowded, noisy hospital, the air grew thick with unspoken questions and memories waiting to be unlocked. Ibrahim continued his tour through the hospital, but his mind kept drifting to her. Aminata's face, gentle yet strong, stirred fragments of memories he hadn't thought of in years. Glimpses of a life before power, before the city, before everything. He tried to focus on the doctor's words, the broken equipment, the patients waiting for care. But every time he saw a tired nurse or a child in pain, Aminata's image returned, sharper than before, pulling at something deep inside him. As Dr. Ouattara led him into the maternity ward, Ibrahim caught sight of her again, moving quietly down a hallway. His heart tightened. He stepped aside. "Doctor, please continue with my chief of staff," he said softly. "I'll join you soon." He followed the hallway, approaching Aminata. She jumped slightly at the sight of him, eyes wide. "Sorry to bother you, Aminata," he said gently, letting kindness carry authority. I would like to ask you a few questions, if that's all right." Her hands tightened around her mop. I didn't do anything wrong, Mr. President," she stammered. "I know," he said, offering a warm, reassuring smile. "Tell me, how long have you worked in this hospital?" 23 years, sir," she answered quietly, still looking down. "I started working here after I left my village." "And which village are you from?" "Kuogo, in San Matenga province. In the north, she replied. Ibrahim's heart skipped a beat. Kuogo, the village of his childhood, the smell of cooking millet, women singing at the well, memories rushed back vividly. Laughter, small hands, a mother's warmth. Do you know a woman named Fatima? He asked, voice tight with anticipation. Aminata slowly lifted her head. Her eyes met his, wide with recognition and emotion. Fatima. Yes, she whispered. I knew her well. She was your biological mother. Ibrahim felt a lump in his throat. So, you knew her? And me? Aminata nodded slowly, tears forming at the corners of her eyes. You were only 5 when your father passed. I knew you then. A heavy silence fell. Around them, the hospital buzzed, but it all seemed distant, as if time itself had stopped. Aminata, Ibrahim said softly, almost reverently. Were you close to my family? More than just a neighbor, she said, wiping a tear, but perhaps this is not the right place for such stories. He nodded. A busy hospital hallway was hardly the place for family secrets. And where do you live now? He asked gently. In the Depot neighborhood, sir, she replied. A small house I share with my niece. I would like to come see you, Ibrahim said quietly. Tomorrow, if that's all right? Aminata blinked in surprise. You would come to my house? It's so small, not fit for a president. I am not coming as a president, he said softly, looking into her eyes. I am coming as the child from Kuogo, searching for his past. With those words, he returned to the group to finish the visit, but his thoughts remained tangled in the web of memories Aminata had awakened. Later, back at the palace, he canceled all evening meetings, locked himself in his office, and opened an old photo album. Faded photographs stared back. His mother Fatima, holding a small boy's hand, village huts, towering trees where elders once gathered. Aminata's face was nowhere to be seen. Determined, he picked up the phone. I need all information about a woman named Aminata from Kuogo, who works as a cleaner at Yalgado Hospital. Keep this request completely confidential, he instructed, voice steady but charged with emotion. That night, Ibrahim could not sleep. Memories of his childhood surfaced in fragments, like pieces of a broken puzzle. A gentle voice singing lullabies, hands cleaning scraped knees, stories by flickering kerosene light, faces blurred together. His mother or Aminata? Before sunrise, he made a decision. He would see Aminata, not as a president, but as a man searching for the truth of his past. His assistant had already brought a file. Aminata, 63, widow, working at Yalgado Hospital since 1998, living in Depot. Nothing remarkable on paper, yet her quiet devotion to a humble life weighed heavily on his heart. The time had come. Only his driver and one security guard accompanied him. No sirens, no escort, he told them firmly. Mr. President, you have a video call with the President of Ghana at 11, his chief of staff said worriedly. Tell him I have an urgent personal matter, Ibrahim replied calmly. The car moved slowly through the bustling streets, morning traffic, school children in crisp uniforms, vendors calling out their wares. Through tinted windows, Ibrahim watched the city wake, familiar yet distant. Finally, they arrived in Depot, a maze of narrow streets and modest homes. The driver slowed near a pale yellow house, laundry hanging in the yard. This is the place, sir, the security agent said. I will go alone, Ibrahim said. Wait in the car. The metal gate creaked as he pushed it open. A young woman washing dishes froze at the sight of him. Hello, Ibrahim said warmly. I'm looking for Madame Aminata. The woman silently pointed to a door. Ibrahim knocked gently. Come in, came a familiar voice. Inside, the house was simple, but impeccably clean. Basic furniture, framed photos, colorful fabrics on chairs. It radiated dignity despite modesty. Aminata sat by the window. She didn't look surprised. I was expecting you, she said calmly. I made some tea. Ibrahim sat across from her, silent, stretched, heavy with emotion. Outside, children laughed, motorbikes hummed. A vendor's song drifted in the morning air. Since yesterday, I can't stop thinking about our meeting, Ibrahim began softly. There's something about your face. It feels like a memory I can't fully reach. Aminata poured tea carefully. Children forget often, she said. But sometimes, the heart remembers what the mind forgets. She walked to a small dresser, opened a worn wooden box, and pulled out a bracelet. Beads of vibrant colors interspersed with cowrie shells. You wore this on your wrist, she whispered. It was a gift from your mother, Fatima. She had it blessed to protect you. Ibrahim held it reverently. Memories flooded back, him counting the beads as a child, drifting to sleep, playing with the charms. How do you have this? He asked, voice thick with emotion. Aminata took a deep breath. When your mother Fatima became very sick, I was her closest neighbor and friend. She asked me to take care of you. She paused, then continued steadily, full of feeling. For almost 2 years, I cared for you like my own son. I cooked your meals, washed your clothes, told you stories at night so you could sleep. You called me Mama Nina because you couldn't say my full name. Ibrahim's heart tightened. Mama Nina. Warm laughs, strong shoulders, learning bird names, herbal drinks to cure fevers. I remember you, Mama Nina, he whispered, overwhelmed. Aminata smiled through tears. When Fatimata died, your uncle came from your father's side. They took you to the city, as tradition demands. I begged them to let you stay, but I was alone, powerless. Ibrahim knelt before her, taking her hands. You were my second mother, he said reverently. How could I ever forget you? Aminata smiled softly. Maybe the adults told you to forget, but you never did. How did you live all these years? He asked gently. I left the village, she shrugged. Too painful to stay. I came here, got this job at the hospital, lived simply, keeping your memory in my heart. And when you rose, I watched silently, with pride. You should have come to me, Ibrahim said, trembling. And say what? She asked, half smile, half tear. Who would have believed me? Rules, distance, power, it makes such things impossible. Ibrahim nodded. A small smile broke through his tears. And yet, destiny made me slip on your freshly cleaned floor, he said softly. Life moves in strange ways, Aminata replied, eyes glistening. Time slipped away unnoticed in Aminata's small house. Ibrahim forgot his work, his meetings, even his duties. Here, he was just a man reclaiming a lost part of his life. Minata brought out old photographs of the village, of Fatima, and of little Ibrahim sitting on her lap. These were her treasures. Every year on your birthday, she said softly, I made your favorite dish, rice with sauce and chicken. I shared it with the children around and prayed for your health and happiness. Ibrahim's chest tightened. Quiet, selfless love. That had been his anchor all those years, even from afar. All these years, you cared for me. From far away, he whispered, awe in his voice. Aminata nodded gently. A bond of the heart never truly ends. Her niece, Fatu, who had slipped away earlier, returned quietly with a tray of food, thick millet paste and baobab leaf sauce. Simple, humble, yet carrying the flavor of memories long past. Aunt Aminata often spoke of you, Fatu said shyly. I thought it was just stories. I never imagined the president would come to our house. Aminata smiled warmly. Fatu is like my daughter. Her mother, my sister cadet, died 10 years ago. We take care of each other. Ibrahim turned to Fatu, eyes soft. Your aunt. She was like a second mother to me. Even when I forgot, she gave me love when I needed it most. They ate together, sharing a quiet, warm moment. Aminata told stories from his childhood, falling into a shallow well, acting like a rooster every morning, sleeping with his little blue blanket. Each story unlocked fragments of memory Ibrahim had long buried. Do you remember the story about the hyena and the hare? She asked, smiling. He grinned immediately. Of course. I always asked for that one, even when I knew it by heart. Her face lit up. You remember. You always wanted to hear it again and again. For the first time in years, Ibrahim laughed. Not as a president, not as a soldier, but as a child remembering love. Then his expression turned serious. This simple moment touched him deeply. After all his victories, honors, and power, he now understood the true measure of dignity and devotion. I want to do something for you, he said, voice heavy with feeling. You shouldn't have to work so hard at your age. Aminata looked at him calmly. You came to me. You remembered me. That is already the best gift I could hope for. No, that is not enough, he said resolutely. I owe you, Mama Nina. A son's debt to a mother. Let me help. I want to make your life easier, give you proper retirement, good health care, and I want to hear more stories about my childhood, about my mother, Fatima. There is so much I still need to remember. Aminata's eyes softened. If this is what you truly want, I accept. But I do not need anything fancy, Ibrahim. Just enough to live in peace with Fatu. and maybe to return to the village sometimes, to feel my roots again." He nodded, touched by her simple heart. Rising, he pulled her into a warm embrace. The scent of shea butter and incense filled his senses, familiar, comforting, a smell that carried years of love and safety. When he finally left, the sun was setting. His driver and bodyguard looked at him anxiously. "Is everything okay, Mr. President?" the guard asked. Ibrahim paused, glancing one last time at the small yellow house where Aminata and Fatu waved. "Better than ever," he said quietly. "Today, I found a part of myself again." Back at the palace, he went alone to his office. Missed calls, urgent files, diplomatic messages, all felt less important now. He picked up the phone. "I want to create a foundation," he said firmly. "A foundation to honor women like Aminata Ewadogo. Women who raise, care for, and support others, often in silence and without thanks." It was a simple, beautiful idea. In that moment, Ibrahim knew that some acts of love, quiet, patient, enduring, were the true legacies worth leaving behind. "Mr. President," his secretary asked, pen poised, "what will you name it?" Ibrahim paused, thinking carefully. "Root of the Heart," he said finally. "Because these women, they feed the hidden roots of our society." That night, for the first time in years, Ibrahim slept deeply. In his dreams, he wandered through his childhood village, felt his mother Fatimata's gentle smile, and Aminata's warm hands guiding his first steps. 3 weeks passed. During that time, Ibrahim had prepared a comfortable new home for Aminata and Fatu in a quiet, respectful part of Ouagadougou. It wasn't large or lavish, just peaceful and dignified, a place where she could enjoy her later years. He also arranged her early retirement from the hospital, with a generous pension for her and her niece. The hospital HR director had been surprised at first, a special request for a cleaning lady, but the personal nature became clear, and the matter was handled discreetly. That morning, an official car arrived to pick up Aminata and Fatu. Aminata wore her finest traditional dress, colors bright against her gentle frame. She looked nervous, gripping Fatu's hand. "Where are you taking me?" she asked softly. "To the presidential palace, madam," the driver said kindly. Fatu squeezed her aunt's hand. "Don't worry, auntie. I'm sure it's a good surprise." At the palace, Aminata froze. Ministers, journalists, and cameras filled the hall. Faces from her past, village friends from Kwogo, former hospital co-workers, even the old marabout who blessed Ibrahim's bead bracelet, looked back at her. Ibrahim stepped forward, calm and warm. He took her hands gently. "Don't be afraid, Mama Nina," he said, using the childhood name she knew so well. "Today is a special day." He guided her into a grand reception room where about 50 people had gathered. The cameras rolled live, the story about to touch the hearts of a nation. "My friends," Ibrahim began, voice steady but full of feeling, "I invited you today to speak about a personal and national debt." He turned to Aminata, whose eyes shimmered with tears. "This woman beside me, Aminata Rayo, was my second mother. When my real mother, Fatima, became very sick, Aminata took care of me. She fed me, cared for me, and loved me as her own child. Life separated us, but fate brought us back together by surprise during my visit to Yalgado Hospital." Whispers filled the room. People were captivated by a story of love, patience, and devotion lasting nearly 25 years. Aminata worked as a cleaner in that hospital. She lived simply, with dignity and strength. She never asked for anything, not even when I became president. It is this humility, this heart, that I want to honor today. Not just for her, but for all the women across our country who raise, support, and build the future quietly in the background. He held up a plaque engraved with Aminata's name and a message honoring her care and silent service. Then, he handed her the keys to her new home and the official document for her lifetime pension. "And now," he said, raising his voice so all could hear, "I announce the creation of the Root of the Heart Foundation. This foundation will help women who care for orphans or children in difficult situations. It will provide support, financial assistance, and recognition for their invaluable work." Applause erupted. Aminata's eyes glistened with tears. Ibrahim leaned slightly toward her. "Would you like to say a few words?" he asked. Aminata hesitated, shy before the cameras. Then she straightened and spoke with quiet authority. "I do not have the words of educated people," she began softly but firmly. "I only know this: love has no limits. When I cared for little Ibrahim, I never thought about the future. I never imagined he would become president. I only loved a child who needed love." She paused. "In our villages, we say it takes a whole village to raise a child. Every woman who helps raise a child not her own follows that tradition. I did nothing special. I only followed the path of our ancestors." Her gaze turned to Ibrahim, and a bright smile broke across her face. "I never stopped believing that God would let me see my son again. Today, my heart is full of joy. May God bless our president and our country." Applause filled the room again. Ibrahim felt tears prick his eyes, tears of gratitude and pride. For the first time in years, he saw clearly the roots of a nation were nourished by unseen love, acts of kindness unspoken, and women like Aminata, who gave their hearts without asking for anything in return. The moment aired live on national TV, touching hearts across Burkina Faso. Within hours, the story of Ibrahim and Aminata spread through towns, villages, and even across borders. What began as a simple hospital visit had become a powerful symbol of family values, community love, and respect for those who nurture others. In the days that followed, the Root of the Heart Foundation began receiving donations, messages of support, and volunteers eager to help. Women across the country, raising children not their own, shared their stories. Slowly, a network of care, love, and solidarity grew, sparked by Aminata's quiet devotion and Ibrahim's recognition of it. 1 month later, Ibrahim planned a special trip to Kwogo, the village of his childhood. It was his first return in decades. Aminata accompanied him, her calm presence a steady anchor. They visited the small house where he had lived with his mother Fatimata, and then the modest home where Aminata had taken him in after his mother fell ill. At first, villagers were shy, unsure how to behave in front of the president. But their caution melted when they saw Ibrahim sit under the old baobab tree, listening to stories of his childhood. Some still remembered the little boy running barefoot across the red dust. An elderly woman approached him, trembling as she handed him a small object wrapped in cloth. Carefully, she unwrapped it, a roughly carved wooden spinning top. "You made this yourself," she said softly. "You were so proud of it. I've kept it all these years, hoping you would come back one day." Ibrahim held the spinning top, spinning it slowly across his palm. Memories flooded back, playing in the yard, laughing with Aminata, the sun on his face. Aminata sat beside him, quiet and smiling, watching him reconnect with the fragments of his past. For the first time in many years, she felt whole, at peace. The circle of their shared history was complete. "Life is like a long cloth we weave day by day," she told a journalist, her voice calm and wise. "Sometimes threads break, patterns falter, but if we keep going with faith, the beauty will appear." That evening, as the sky glowed gold and red, Ibrahim and Aminata sat on a bench outside the house where he had once lived. Below them, village children played, their laughter rising like music into the darkening sky. "Do you mind if people call me your son now?" Ibrahim asked quietly, turning to her. Aminata's eyes shone with warmth. "You have always been my son, Ibrahim. Nothing ever changed in my heart." They sat side by side, looking out at the land that had shaped them both. Time, distance, and forgetfulness had no power over the love that bound them. A president and a former cleaning lady, brought together by destiny, had rewritten a story of human connection for the nation. In the gentle evening breeze, it felt as if the spirits of their ancestors whispered their approval. They celebrated the triumph of love over social rules, memory over forgetfulness, and gratitude over indifference. The story of Ibrahim and Aminata became a modern legend in Burkina Faso, taught in schools as an example of the power of recognition, humility, and care. As Aminata often said, with the simple wisdom that guided her life, "It is not power that makes a man great, but his ability to remember those who helped him stand." True greatness is not measured by power or wealth, but by the love, care, and respect we show to others, especially those who quietly nurture, guide, and support us. The roots of a society are nourished by selfless hearts like Aminata's. If this story touched your heart, like and share it to honor the unsung heroes in our lives, those who raise, care for, and support others silently every day. Thank you for watching, and remember, a simple act of love can change lives forever.